What if I told you that one of history's greatest inventors had a face-to-face encounter with the devil himself? And here's the shocking part. It completely changed everything we thought we knew about good, evil, and the very nature of reality. This isn't some made-up story from a horror movie. We're talking about Nikola Tesla, the brilliant mind behind alternating current, wireless technology, and inventions that were literally centuries ahead of his time. The man who could visualize entire machines in his head before building them. The genius who slept only 2 hours a night and had a photographic memory that could recall the tiniest details from a single glance. But here's where it gets absolutely mind-blowing. Tesla never told this story publicly, never wrote it down, never even hinted at it in his countless interviews. The only person he ever confided in was Mark Twain, yes, the famous writer, and only because they shared an incredible friendship built on mutual respect and fascination with the unknown. If you're intrigued by stories that challenge everything you thought you knew about reality, hit that like button right now. And make sure you're subscribed because we're about to dive deep into one of the most extraordinary untold stories in human history. Picture this. It's 1910. Mark Twain is on his deathbed at 75 years old. Tesla is 54, already established as one of the world's most enigmatic inventors. These two brilliant minds had formed an unlikely friendship despite their age difference. Twain, master of satire and sharp social commentary, had spent his final years increasingly contemplating death and what might lie beyond. You see, Twain had become quite critical of organized religion, often portraying God in his works as either a stern judge or a completely indifferent observer. He questioned Christian teachings openly. But here's the thing about being face-to-face with mortality. Even the most rational minds start wondering about what's hidden beyond the visible world. It was during one of these philosophical conversations that Tesla shared something he had never told another living soul. Something so extraordinary, so earth-shattering, that it left even the skeptical Mark Twain completely speechless. Now, here's where the story gets even more incredible. When Twain was literally taking his last breaths, he called his daughter Laria to his bedside. The words Tesla had shared with him were so profound, so important, that Twain felt compelled to pass them on as his final legacy. But here's the catch: Laria never wrote any of this down. The entire account remained preserved only in memory, passed down like some ancient oral tradition. Think about that for a moment. We're talking about one of the most significant conversations in human history, and it exists only in whispered memories. Comment below if you think some truths are too powerful to be written down. Now, to understand what Tesla experienced, you need to know about his unique relationship with consciousness itself. This wasn't just any ordinary inventor we're talking about. Tesla had abilities that bordered on the supernatural. He could envision complex machines in perfect detail, run them in his mind, make adjustments, and then build them without a single blueprint. His brain operated on a completely different level. But Tesla's genius came with a price. By 1907, he found himself drowning in debt. The hotel bills were piling up. His revolutionary experiments were bleeding money faster than he could earn it. Most people would have given up, but Tesla, he doubled down on his research, especially his most dangerous experiments. Here's where things get absolutely terrifying. Tesla began conducting experiments that would make modern safety experts lose their minds. He would connect devices emitting high-frequency electrical discharges directly to his head. We're talking about 150,000 volts coursing through his brain. Can you imagine? That's enough electricity to power a small town, and this madman was running it through his skull. Tesla himself described these sessions as inducing a state similar to lethargic sleep, a condition that bordered on the edge between life and clinical death. His metabolism would slow down dramatically, yet his body somehow continued functioning. It was during one of these death-defying experiments that the impossible happened. Picture Tesla alone in his laboratory, electricity crackling around him, his consciousness teetering on the brink between worlds. Time seemed to slow down, reality became fluid, and then he felt something watching him. But this wasn't the feeling of human eyes on him. This was something entirely different, something that seemed to observe him from a dimension beyond physical sight. At first, Tesla tried to rationalize it. After all, he was a man of science. But his analytical mind suddenly encountered something that didn't belong to him, a foreign thought, an alien presence in his consciousness. Here's the shocking part. Tesla felt no fear. His scientific curiosity overtook any instinct for self-preservation. He needed to understand what was observing him, what had invaded his carefully controlled experiment. And then he saw it. It wasn't the horned, red-skinned monster that centuries of religious art had burned into humanity's collective imagination. Instead, Tesla witnessed something that defied every stereotype about evil itself. It was a luminous entity, not blindingly bright, but distinctly visible against its surroundings. This light seemed alive, pulsing with its own will and intelligence. Tesla stared at this being, trying to comprehend what he was witnessing. It didn't threaten him or invade his thoughts aggressively. Instead, it appeared completely isolated and independent, existing in its own realm of reality. Now here's where the story takes an incredible turn that will challenge everything you've been taught about good and evil. Tesla, driven by the same curiosity that had made him one of the world's greatest inventors, decided to establish contact with this entity. If you're starting to question everything you thought you knew about reality, you're not alone. Share this video with someone who needs to hear this story. The moment Tesla reached out with his consciousness, something extraordinary happened. The entity didn't communicate through words or images. Instead, Tesla's mind was flooded with information so intense and overwhelming that he felt his brain physically restructuring itself, forming new neural pathways in real time. It was like the ultimate download of cosmic knowledge. Complex puzzles that had plagued humanity for millennia suddenly clicked into place. The universe's secrets began unfolding in Tesla's consciousness like a flower blooming in fast forward. And then came the revelation that shattered everything Tesla thought he knew about the nature of reality. This luminous being, this entity that had been observing him, revealed its true identity. It wasn't some random supernatural occurrence. This was the devil himself, but nothing like the devil described in religious texts or depicted in countless works of art. Here's where your mind is about to be completely blown. The devil explained to Tesla that everything humanity had been taught about his role was fundamentally wrong. He wasn't God's enemy. He wasn't trying to destroy creation or lead souls to damnation. Instead, he was fulfilling a crucial role in the divine plan. The devil was one of God's angels, assigned to observe life on earth. His job wasn't to corrupt or destroy, but to test and oversee. Think about it. If you wanted to understand the true nature of souls, wouldn't you need someone to present them with choices? Someone to reveal what they're really made of? This connects to something fascinating in ancient mythology. The name Lucifer literally means light bearer in Latin, lux meaning light and fair meaning to carry. In Greek mythology, Phosphoros, the equivalent of Lucifer, represented the morning star, the planet Venus. The Slavs had a similar figure called Denitsa. It was only during the Middle Ages that Christian tradition transformed Lucifer into the fallen angel we know today. But Tesla's devil was neither the fallen angel of Christianity nor the light bearer of ancient mythology. This entity transcended human concepts of good and evil entirely. During this mind-bending communication, Tesla and the devil seemed to study each other, their consciousnesses partially merging. Tesla suddenly saw the world through cosmic eyes, understanding the true power hidden behind his own inventions. And this is where the story becomes absolutely terrifying. Tesla witnessed visions of how his discoveries could reshape the world, not just for humanity's benefit, but as sources of unimaginable destruction. He saw his alternating current powering cities, but also electrocuting millions. He saw his wireless technology connecting the globe, but also enabling surveillance and control beyond any dictator's wildest dreams. The weight of this knowledge crushed down on Tesla's consciousness. He realized that every invention, every breakthrough, every moment of genius carried with it the potential for both salvation and annihilation. The responsibility was overwhelming. But here's the most incredible part. The devil didn't try to influence Tesla's decisions. He didn't whisper suggestions or plant evil thoughts. Instead, he simply showed Tesla the future and left the choice entirely to him. This moment became the defining experience of Tesla's life, shaping how he viewed the role of science in humanity's destiny. Then, as suddenly as it began, the connection severed. Tesla found himself crashing back into physical reality, his body racked with convulsions. He collapsed onto the hard laboratory floor, his heart pounding like a jackhammer, clothes soaked in sweat, consciousness gripped by absolute panic. When he opened his eyes, the familiar world around him seemed alien and distant. It was like waking from the most vivid nightmare, except the sensations didn't fade with returning consciousness. They burned themselves into Tesla's photographic memory with crystal clarity. Every detail of this encounter remained etched in his mind for the rest of his life. Every sensation, every revelation, every moment of cosmic understanding became an inescapable part of his mental landscape. Tesla would spend decades trying to process and understand what had happened to him that night. Many historians believe this experience fundamentally changed Tesla's approach to invention. Think about it. He had ideas for wireless energy transmission that could have revolutionized the world. He designed what he called death rays that could have changed warfare forever. Yet none of these world-changing technologies were ever fully realized. Was Tesla holding back? Did he deliberately suppress inventions that could have been too dangerous for humanity to handle? The evidence suggests he destroyed many of his most advanced research notes. Whether this was due to his supernatural encounter or simple practical concerns remains one of history's greatest mysteries. According to his conversation with Mark Twain, Tesla described his encounter with the devil as a test of temptation. He was offered the chance to feel power that could reshape reality itself. But Tesla claimed he resisted this temptation, turning away from the allure of ultimate power and returning to what he believed was truth. Tesla also shared with Twain his belief that God genuinely exists and that the devil serves a crucial function in testing human nature. He viewed death not as an ending, but as a transition. Tesla was convinced that every human soul that had ever existed continues in some form, invisibly present in our world. Here's something that will make you rethink everything about personal responsibility. Tesla revealed that people often attribute their actions to external forces, claiming they were possessed by the devil or influenced by evil. But according to Tesla's understanding, all of humanity's suffering results from our own choices. Nobody forces us to ignore a starving animal. Nobody compels us to pollute the environment. Nobody makes us show indifference to suffering. Perhaps the devil's real role is as an overseer, sent to test humanity's moral resilience and reveal our true nature. If this perspective is changing how you see personal responsibility, let me know in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe for more mind-bending revelations. Now here's where Tesla's story takes another incredible turn. This man, who had described himself as an atheist in his youth, underwent a complete spiritual transformation. What could drive a rational scientist, someone who built his entire career on measurable facts and repeatable experiments, to embrace belief in God. Tesla began experiencing what he called inspirations, sudden bursts of insight that seemed to come from beyond his own intellect. He described these as a capability to see into the future and find answers to the most challenging questions. The first major inspiration occurred in 1882 during a simple walk. Tesla suddenly envisioned the alternating current motor with perfect clarity, its design, its operation, every mechanical detail. Without paper available, he drew the complete diagram directly in the sand. That moment changed everything. From then on, these inspirations came with increasing frequency. Tesla became so fascinated by their source that he consulted psychologists and scientists, but nobody could provide a satisfactory explanation. So Tesla decided to investigate on his own. Initially, he hypothesized that these insights were coming from a highly advanced extraterrestrial civilization trying to share knowledge with humanity. For years, he pursued this theory, even designing equipment to potentially communicate with alien intelligence. But living in America, conducting experiment after experiment, Tesla gradually realized that the extraterrestrial hypothesis didn't align with his experiences. The source of his inspirations was something far more profound. Then came the day that changed everything. Tesla woke up with the most intense inspiration he had ever experienced. In that moment, he understood with absolute certainty that all of his discoveries were gifts from God. Through these inspirations, he had received undeniable proof of a higher power guiding his work. Finally, the day has come when I have realized that God exists, Tesla wrote in his diary, deeply moved by this revelation. His excitement was so overwhelming that he decided to visit an Orthodox church immediately to express his gratitude. But life, as it often does, presented an unexpected twist. The taxi driver Tesla hired had no idea how to find an Orthodox church in New York City. This became another test, another reminder that the path to God isn't a physical road but an inner journey requiring understanding and faith. Tesla searched frantically through New York streets, feeling like he was navigating an endless labyrinth where churches had mysteriously vanished. The taxi driver, noticing his passengers' distress, stopped at every police officer they encountered, hoping someone could provide directions. But nobody seemed to know where to find an Orthodox church. I was agitated and confused, Tesla wrote in his diary. I should have called someone from my homeland to find out where they prayed, but it didn't occur to me. After an hour of searching, hope seemed lost. But finally, one police officer remembered seeing an Orthodox church near his house. It has those onion domes with crosses on the cupolas, he said. Yes, Tesla exclaimed so loudly that both the officer and the driver jumped. They finally arrived at 97th Street, at the Church of St. Nicholas. In that moment, Tesla felt this was the final sign sent to him from above. Tesla's transformation from atheist to believer represents one of the most dramatic spiritual journeys in scientific history. His example shows us that science and spirituality don't have to be opposing forces. Instead, they can complement each other to promote human understanding and well-being. Tesla taught us that true greatness lies not only in technological progress, but also in accepting moral responsibility for our discoveries and their impact on the world. His philosophy reminds us that in our increasingly technologized world, we must never forget the deeper meaning of human experience and values. The story of Tesla's encounter with the devil challenges our fundamental assumptions about good and evil, about the nature of temptation, and about personal responsibility. It suggests that what we often perceive as external evil might actually be internal choices, and that true wisdom comes from understanding the weight of our decisions. Tesla's life demonstrates that the pursuit of knowledge must be balanced with ethical consideration. His willingness to suppress potentially dangerous inventions shows that sometimes the greatest act of genius is knowing when not to use your capabilities. Whether you believe Tesla actually encountered the devil or interpret this as a metaphorical representation of his internal struggle with the moral implications of his work, the message remains powerful. We are all responsible for how we use our talents and knowledge. Tesla's legacy reminds us that every breakthrough, every innovation, every moment of human progress comes with a choice. We can use our capabilities to elevate humanity or to destroy it. The devil doesn't make that choice for us, we do. In our modern world, where technology advances faster than our wisdom, Tesla's story becomes more relevant than ever. As we develop artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and other world-changing technologies, we must ask ourselves the same questions Tesla faced. What is our responsibility? How do we ensure our discoveries serve humanity's highest good? Tesla's encounter with the devil, whether literal or metaphorical, teaches us that the greatest enemy we face isn't some external evil force. It's our own capacity for moral blindness, our willingness to pursue power without considering consequences, our tendency to blame others for choices we make ourselves. The next time you face a moral decision, remember Tesla's story. Remember that true strength isn't in wielding power, but in choosing wisely how to use it. The devil may test us, but the choices we make are entirely our own. What choices will you make with the power you possess? How will you ensure your talents serve humanity's highest good? These aren't just philosophical questions. They're the practical challenges that define our character and shape our world. Tesla's greatest invention wasn't the alternating current motor or wireless technology. It was his understanding that knowledge without wisdom is dangerous, and that every human being faces the fundamental choice between creation and destruction, between serving others and serving only ourselves. The devil's test continues for each of us, every day, in every decision we make. The question isn't whether we'll be tested, it's whether we'll have the wisdom and courage to choose correctly when that test comes.